I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show all members are present. Welcome today, our guests. Can I get a motion and a second for the consent agenda?
I'll second that for you.
Okay. Supervisor Whitman, second Supervisor Schultz. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, next up, John Rasmussen, County Engineer, discussion and or decision to approve project 2022-P-007 with the Iowa Department of Transportation for bridge reconstruction of G12 DeSoto Avenue over I-29 and the associated approach pavement.
John, that's all federal and state, right?
Right, so that's all DOT project. The issue here is that the detour is pretty significant. Being west of 29 is difficult for us, so that's one thing they want to recognize. Then we reconstructed that bridge in that area and they're going to tie into that, so that kind of extended their project limit, so they wanted agreement.
Okay, so this project with this bridge there, and we redid ours.
Yeah.
Over the Boyer.
So it's $0 to the county. It's.
Right, but are they gonna redo those ramps?
I think they have to, because I think they're changing grades. I don't know the intent of the project, but I imagine that bridge is gonna be for 3 lanes north and south. I don't think they're gonna build a regular bridge for 4 lanes. You know,
Okay.
I mean, the next 20 years, that's probably gonna be 3 lanes, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. Supervisor Grovey, thank you. What, when is the anticipated start of that?
I think it's to be let this winter.
Start next spring?
Yeah, I can, I'll look for that letting date.
Okay, because, I mean, that means you have to get, what, off at Honey Creek? If you want to come up and get around DeSoto Avenue or go up to, Highway 30, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to use 145th gravel there to get up there, or, yeah, come down from 30.
Either one of those two ways? Because you'll still be able to get over our bridge and then onto that gravel road.
Yes.
Well, is that right?
Yeah, they're gonna maintain that.
And then I guess they're gonna be real hopeful that there isn't a flood, because that's where you got back on and 19 was there at that interchange.
Loveland.
Yeah. Okay. Any other,
Too bad they couldn't have done it at the same time, you know?
you think it'll just be one season, right?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 9-month project probably.
How many months?
Probably 9 months to a year on that.
Okay. Might put that little gas station in a little quandary, I would guess. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Discussion on petitions received for Leisure Lane Secondary Road Assessment District and Honeysuckle Road Secondary Roads Assessment District. Discussion only. County Engineer John.
Sure. Throw that out there. I just wanted to go over the Chapter 311 stuff, so we're all familiar with the process. I gave Mitch there a PowerPoint with the code on there, so we can all look at the same thing, or have copies in case that doesn't work. Well, Plan A doesn't work. I have Plan B.
Heads up, it takes a while for the projector to warm up. I was gonna ask earlier.
Chapter 311.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed you still remember how to do that.
You just keep poking until it does what you want it to.
That's what we do with you, Melvin.
I know.
Oh, that's not too bad. Wow. Sorry, I thought you were Matt Wilbur to save me or something, but you're not. I'm sorry. Just gonna run through this real quick. We had some changes how we're doing the special assessments. We used to do 100% approval before the petition got to you. That was more strict than Iowa code was. Prohibited a lot of this action from happening, so we went back and just using the Iowa code language. So what we did before by requiring 100% was kind of playing on this power to establish. The supervisors may on petition accept the petition. So you kind of gave me that direction before and I filtered the petition. So we don't have the filter now, but it is your right to accept or deny the petition regardless of how many signatures it has on it. So you have the power to establish with the district's half mile. The petition's really written on a percentage of payment, not less than 50%. I do an estimate up front for the petitioners. It just doesn't seem fair that they do all that work and don't know the cost. So I kind of rearrange the order of stuff. I do the assessment early on so they kind of know where it's at. Then to go on the next page there. Basically, the petition only needs to describe the roads, and the percentage has to be more than 50%. So that's all pretty easy. So 311.6 requires 50% of the petitioners, and 311.7 is a little bit different in the way the payment's done and the way that it's programmed. If it's delivered by October 1st of the year, it's to be built the next season, and the petitioners pay up front on that one. So that's a little bit different. The petitions you're receiving are going to be falling under the 311.6. You go next page. Yep.
John, how do they pay up front?
Do what?
How do they pay up front? Is this assessed on their
The
tax bill?
yes, the road district, it'll be an assessment. So it'll be assessed on the tax bill specifically for the improvement costs.
How do they get it on their tax bill if you start working on it the next spring?
I think in 311.7 they pay up front, so the money would be
Are you
positive.
still in the, yeah, I guess that's the question, are you still in arrears? Because technically, you know,
Yeah,
you're paying taxes in arrears every single year, so if they're paying up front, are you paying up front as in the next year up front, or
so
in the arrears up front?
deeper in this code, there's a way of stamping warrants and bonding and all that, those other functions for the cash flow. But we weren't quite there yet.
John, you talked about a half mile from each side of the road?
Mhm.
Okay.
So the width of the district is a half mile. There is some question on Honeysuckle, whether or not that projects beyond the end of the road. I talked to Leanne about that, and she thought it should, and I thought it should too, because those people are using the road, so we wrote it that way. Lots of stuff in here.
And they're within the half mile?
Yes, still within a half mile, even past the end of the road.
Okay.
The county engineer's report, a lot of the stuff I did up front before the petition was signed, just so the petitioners had that information. Just like I said earlier, it doesn't seem fair to not know the costs and do all this work and just to find out the costs later. So this is pretty much all done. We get down to the hearing, and that's kind of the next phase. After you guys accept it, we'll program the hearing, and we'll send out notices on those. Obviously, there's a requirements, what's to be on the notice. We had some question of ownership, so like I kind of backed up to that. The hearing notice is when the ownership, I actually go to the transfer books and find ownership. On the petition, I used the GIS website. It kind of listed the contacts for the owner if there's multiple owners. So I do have an error in there. I don't have to fix it until the hearing though, so I still have time to get that right. That sounds wrong, but that's what I'm gonna say, I guess. So we have all those actions, and then we publish. And if we still have errors, there's a whole system here to work those errors out.
John, going back to the transfer, when you got different names on different pieces, if there's just one name or one set of names, is that included 2 pieces or is that one?
In my opinion, one parcel is just a parcel, so those are like percentage owners. You know, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's less than 100%, so I think all those people have to approve, and I don't have an attorney here to back me up, so that's gonna run with that opinion until somebody overrules me.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian, now you're lost.
No, you were moving to publications.
Publication, so we have to advertise in one paper. There is no requirement for a mail notification I saw. We'll do direct mail anyway.
Okay.
Well, I guess I want to kind of go back up to the property owners. So the kind of system we have at the county is you highlight something as you ask, and it spits out mailing labels and ownership, and that ownership's not exactly right. It's just the point of contact. So that's where that error is. Got time to fix it. If we find more errors, we just back up hearing and continue the process and have a hearing. And at that point, I have to direct mail those folks. They got scheduled. Parents, so people for or against, have the opportunity at the hearing to give their comments. Those need to be accepted. There's another, I'm sure if it's in that section, some of those come to me, some of those go to the board, but they all get wrapped up into the hearing.
John,
Yeah.
if you take a look at all of the ownership on whether it's leisure or whether it's honeysuckle, you have some people that are in favor of it and people that aren't in favor of it. Does the board have the authority to exempt those properties that are not in favor of it from the payment or the repayment of the road project?
Were you reading ahead? So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I like it. So we get to 311:15, and at the hearing, you have, I kind of highlighted there for you, before the final hearing, you can reject, approve, modify, and approve the proposal. So you can exclude land from the district, or you may add land, or otherwise modify the proposal. So you have 3 options. You can exclude somebody, you can pull somebody else in that I never thought of, or the petitioners never thought of, and you can change the assessment. So if each proposal had a different percentage, the county's participating in all these percentage-wise. So if you want to change that participation percentage, you can also change that. So you have those options to you as the board.
What is our percentage? Half?
It can't be less than half. I think these are around 30% you're paying now.
Okay.
And that was what our policy change was, or our previous policy was based on traffic, so it's 1,000 times the traffic. Right by 100.
Did I mishear it? I thought you said couldn't be less than half. Did you say it were?
I'm sorry, the petitioners can't be less than half.
Okay,
So,
but our participation is a third?
yes, it's right in there.
Is
And
that,
I'm kind of generalizing all 3 petitions there, so, yeah, we're right around 30% participation on those.
we have 3 petitions?
Yes, we have a honeysuckle, then we have a leisure lane. There's one leisure lane I've probably written 5 petitions on now. One passed, then another group of folks wanted to extend that another 1/4 mile, so they have another petition because they were behind. So there's actually 2 that are back to back on leisure, and I think you combine those, but I'll have to get to that
And what's the
recommendation.
3rd one?
So 2 on leisure and 1 on
2,
honeysuckle,
okay.
yeah. So
I see what you're
there's
saying.
2 on leisure that are back to back.
I was
One's a half
asked
mile,
about housing on that. Is there a housing addition? Someone called me and asked me about that the other day.
No, these are gonna be they're gonna be oil stabilized base with a seal coat. You can't do more than a minor subdivision on this, so that's the limitation of the property. So, yeah, I think I saw some of that where somebody had a major subdivision planned or something.
Right,
No,
right.
no, we're not doing the right kind of paving for that, so.
Correct.
If that's a plan, the developer needs to help us.
I said
Build
I'd
that.
ask, and I told them that they couldn't do that, so, good.
You wanna hit it once more? shouldn't be looking up to read my own slides. We go to 316, so once we get through all that business of apportionment and petitioners and who's in the district and who's not, gotta have a final hearing.
You went backwards. You're on 311.
Oh, he's all right.
Okay,
Zoom in on that.
Okay, I see it now.
You can't see it from that angle
No,
either, can you?
I cannot.
So, we'll get to 31116, we'll have the final hearing after all this other business is worked out. At that point, that's your final opportunity to increase, diminish, and we'll affirm the apportionment and the report and set that district, so. That's when it's final. So you can have these hearings, and you can adjourn them, and you can meet again until you get all this worked out, and final hearing, it's done.
I'm sorry.
Just one last question. I think I've asked, a couple petitioners have asked about paying up front. I didn't think it was possible, but I caught it in this paragraph here, paragraph 2 of 31117. After that first year payment, or first year payment, you can pay the thing in full. The interest on this is simple interest, so it's not compound, so I think that's a pretty good option for those folks. And speaking of interest, okay, this code requires me to use an interest rate published on a government website. Last time I was there, that was 9%. And the purpose of that is to bond against. They're trying to guess your bond rate. I just cut that in half, so I used 4.5% as the interest rate. You guys obviously have the opportunity to adjust that. I would probably recommend you match whatever your bond rate is now or whatever the value of our money is, but, and I'm not planning on bonding for this. I'll pay for it out of balance and just take repayment through the assessment. So there's some decision, you don't have to decide anything now. There's just a decision to be made on the interest rate. I would have to imagine the petitioners are gonna ask you about that. Variations, if 31120, somebody asked if there's a bust of my calculations. If there is, we're going on the estimate cost, not the actual cost. So that doesn't change anything for us. Kind of get to the end of this thing, and there's an appeal from assessment, and there's a whole system in district court and how to appeal this if you don't want to be taxed for this thing. So there's rights for the folks that don't want to be included as well. Oh yeah, you better flip one more. I got ahead of you.
And then they can opt out, or we can opt them out, so to say, if we.
You have, yes, you
We
have
have that ability.
Yes. In the process, not after the final hearing, just prior to the final hearing. So
Okay.
if they go to the final hearing and they're in, they have the right to go to district court on that. So I just kind of want to catch up. I think this will be probably a different process and you've been exposed to. Trying to get ahead of you a week so you can kind of stew on it a little bit. I do have copies of the code if you'd like one. I can leave you
I am
one.
gonna want a copy of that code. John, what's the process today is to accept the petitions and set a public hearing?
No,
We just did discussion today.
today was just a discussion. We filed and received the petition, so you have them. You can look at them, whatever you need to do. Next week's item will be to accept the petitions and set a public hearing date.
Okay.
So
I mean, give us a scope here, like how many of these folks are for it and how many are not, or is it just?
I think you're about 75% on leisure and 50%, just right at 50% on honeysuckle.
Is that all of leisure then?
No, it's back to Chalet Lane.
Okay, so, and I assume you did this,
Can you show us that on the map?
they got this up, he's got this, but he should be able to get
Is
it
that in our
up.
packet?
Yeah,
Oh.
Way at the end.
but,
There's a map on your.
right, but
That is-
you, I assume you did these costs, the link, look out to Chalet Lane, and then you got county participation as at 20% on here.
Right, so,
So are these your numbers then that I'm looking at?
right, so participation is based on traffic, so that's 20% would be 200 vehicles a day. So that's how we do the county participation. Just to keep it fair with everybody, it's really based on traffic.
Okay. Well, you said county was the third, so I'm just trying to,
Yeah, I was generalizing between the three there. I think Honeysuckle's at 26 or 28, somewhere in that range. There is an item in our policy that the board can contribute an additional 10% if there's a business identified. And I guess that's your guys' discretion at the public hearing to do that, but
so this one has 7 parcels on it, is that accurate?
right, so you're looking at Leisure Lane, the first segment was I think that's Lookout, it's a private road, Lookout Lane back in there, then the next section was Lookout to Chalet, so there's a lot of parcels back in there on a private road.
Would they be assessed?
Yes.
If they opt in.
Yeah, they're on the petition, I'm sorry, I should have answered that a little differently, I guess.
They did approve of it. That's a big deal.
Right, it's in the petition, which is in your packet, and I don't have it in front of me, but the
Okay.
petition went out with them on it, whether they approved or dissented, I can't tell you now, but I think there's about 75% participation, so 3 out of 4.
What's the cost? Like, what's the total cost to do this?
Dang, I should have printed those petitions. I think this one's about a quarter on this segment.
This is 126,
26.
so say
Thank
100,
you.
I don't know, 127,000, let's say, on this one.
On that segment?
This one doesn't have a segment, and then the other one was 67, so we'll call it 68 from Lookout Lane to Chalet.
So there's about a quarter on that.
So those two, 68 and 2, what did I say, 2? So just almost 200,000 between the two of them. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And then how many people, like how many households or how many?
One says
How many does it
7
affect?
parcels and the other says 18 parcels. I assume you go by the number of parcels or not?
When I talked to Leanne about this, we wrote it for the owners. So if one owner owns multiple parcels, this special assessment's only going to one of those parcels. So there's probably more parcels, but the costs are only being divided by the 18 or the 7. Or 22 in the case of a Honeysuckle.
So the $127,000 piece, how many does that affect?
That's the 18, that's the first segment.
Yes.
So I'd probably advise not doing this piece if we don't do that piece. So that's kind of why these need to be tied together a little bit.
Is the 18 that, the parcels that you're talking about, all 18 of them have opted in or signed the petition and approved it?
I think they're at 75%. No, you didn't get 100%.
Okay, so you can't divide by 18.
I can't make that decision at this point, or you can't either, I guess, but.
Well, that's true.
So you're talking $120 a month for 5 years per person.
Right, so the financing goes on 10 years, but the code there, so we broke that down by 10.
Oh, in 10 years, okay. So I mean, it's still,
I think those costs are on the petition.
can you zoom out a little bit for me? And then scroll down just a hair. Okay, so Leisure Lane and then this other road coming out of Crescent are the only two that tie you back over. What's our cost, what's our maintenance costs on this road typically on an annual basis?
It's on the petition. 2, I think, we're about $1,000 a mile on
About
that.
10,000, well, I don't know, you got 9,400 on gravel maintenance cost. Is that the number you're looking at?
Yeah, that's a 10-year cost
Yeah.
on that, so
And
that's about 10,000 for a half mile or
Well,
so.
of that 107, or I'm sorry, of the 127, are we in it for a third of that? Is that what you're saying? Or is that their third? or there were 2/3, I should say.
That was the, I don't know what line you pulled that from, that, there's a total cost, then we get percentages, and we have breakdowns of what the county's paying, what the petitioners are paying from there.
It's over 20%. And for
We'd be
the,
net ahead in
Mitch,
the
do you have that in
10-year
the
period.
packet? Can you pull up the packet information? I'm sorry, I didn't put that on the slide.
Is that the same back they're looking at?
yeah, it's our package.
You're saying 9,400 bucks per year, or 9,400 for
10-year.
10 years?
So that's credited back to the petitioners. So they get credit for the maintenance costs that come off, but they're also paying for the capital costs of it.
Package.
It's at the very end.
Yeah. It's way down, just keep going,
Yeah.
keep going, past that.
I just figured he was
Because
bringing
we have a review on that.
Right. You're almost there.
Some of it. Keep going.
Getting close.
Yeah, it's after this.
Brian, do you, like, have you heard, what's the potential for development down the road on this road? Was it
Very low,
There you
really?
it's very
go.
low.
One more page there.
I think there's
Oh, keep going, I guess.
one or two spots they could put a couple of houses, but
Keep going.
like
Well,
John
if it
said, it
was-
can't be a big development
No, but if
because
it was
by
already
two
this-
was
That's the one.
If it was an upgraded road, is there potential there or not?
further on down, but that won't be seal coated.
This road would not become a official bituminous or possibly could become.
That's a term I don't know that we understand completely. So all these roads are getting 8-inch treated bases, so we don't have to do the road embargoes, and occasionally we still have to do that, probably once every 5 years or so. But the intent was to increase the base depth. We used to do them 6, now we do them 8. To get away from the embargoes, then we seal coat them. So they're all built the same, so when you say official or not official, you're kind of accepting, the road doesn't change, you accept them maybe to allow the minor subdivisions to occur. So so that's more of an administrative thing than the way the road's built for me. So the roads are all gonna be built the same. It could be on the official list to allow in the minor subdivisions. It would have to be added.
I'll tell you where my thought process was going. Let's just say hypothetically, we did this road and it's one that a subdivision could be built off of. It's a 10-year period that you're doing this, so let's say in the next 10 years, it's likely a neighborhood to be built out there, or 4 new homes, whatever. Would those special assessments be applied to those new homes, and would that help decrease everyone else?
No, the special assessment will be made at the final hearing of the people you identify.
So it's only those folks, okay?
It's only those folks.
So the minor subdivision is a total of how many homes?
4.
4 total.
But let me understand this right. So the petition and the assessment aren't to the parcel, they're to the person.
They're to the owner, yes, so.
So, okay, if someone sells, then the new buyer gets the,
Yes, it'll be on that, it'll be on that
so it's to the
parcel.
parcel?
Yeah.
Okay.
There just needed to be a way to juggle the multiple parcel owners, and that's kind of a headache for us, but, so on this, you can see the total cost, county participation is 20, so we're taking the 13,000. The gravel maintenance savings cost, that comes off the top, so then we get down to the petitioner's cost at 80%. We have that interest of 4.5, again, that's just a government table I had to use, or recommended to use, I think 4.5 is probably a little high.
When you say government, is that federal or state or what?
There's one in Iowa code that, I forgot the name of it, but there's,
I would say it's awful high.
well, they allowed it to 9%, so,
But
Yeah,
it's in his book for estimation
Yeah,
purposes.
it's supposed
yeah,
to.
9% is kind
Keeps you
of
safe,
predatory
but there's
actually,
no
so
way to do
yeah,
that.
4.5 might be predatory, I don't know. But, so I break it down, like I said, it's simple interest, so you got that, you got the principal and the interest. After the first year, they can pay off their balance that's already known right there. So the people that don't wanna do the 10-year payments, which the payments obviously are declining as the simple interest is calculated, they can pay off and they know the payoff balance if that's what they wanna do. I kinda cited a few things there, just, oh, there it is, iowatreasury.gov is where I got the interest rate. Traffic count came from the 2016 traffic count, I haven't got 2020 yet. I don't know that we'll get 2020 with COVID. I think all the counts were wonky, I guess. And I didn't find any zone businesses on Leisure Avenue, so at the time of the public hearing, if there's a business out there, they need to come forward. And again, all these calculations can be changed by you guys during the hearing as well.
The total cost per parcel, is that regardless of the size of the parcel, whether it's 5 acres or 40 acres?
Right, so it's 7 owners. There's probably more parcels than that, but there's 7 owners.
7 owners, right, but some parcels are larger than others.
No, it just goes
Just a parcel.
per parcel, yes.
John, now that's, this is just for information purposes only, this isn't set in stone. Those total costs per 7 parcels, is that how many is on the road, on this stretch of,
It's in the district within a half mile of the road.
okay. It doesn't mean all 7 of them agreed to participate in that.
Exactly.
Okay. So those figures are, is like I said.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, you can see the petitioners who signed. I guess we can, scroll up, but maybe I got that backwards. So you have 1 owner that didn't.
So then you divide the cost by 6.
That's, yes, not today, but yes, you have that option. So
Where's the one owner?
the 1 owner up here.
No, I mean, like, where's the one owner on the road?
I think they're back in that private road. I think he's at the end of the private road.
Private road, you keep on saying private.
Are you talking that
Chalet
lookout
Lane.
point? Oh,
Chalet Lane is a private road?
Yeah.
And we're gonna take it into the county system then? Is that what we're doing?
No, that's just, we're gonna end the improvement. So we end the improvement at a road intersection, so
Okay,
we're gonna end that at the private
so
road.
everyone else on this road wants it except the guy at the very end, but, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I can't quite read the names on there as far as the location. I really didn't copy and scan very well, but yeah, you can, don't feel like pointing the guy out, but I can't quite find him either. Oh, no, he's actually on the corner there. So look, Chalet Lane's coming that direction. Intersections we're ending, we have 1 owner there. Doesn't look like there's a house on there, maybe that's the issue, if it's just farmland.
I don't think there is a house there.
No, so if they're just farming their property, they
I
might be
mean,
against.
what's that, how's the consensus of, what's that do to the people that would have to pay for it? I mean, where are their mindset on that? Have you gauged that at all? Check that temperature?
No, that's. Probably the only land that could develop would be Moran's there, and I don't know that he really has an interest, but even then, it'd just be a minor subdivision.
That second road, or second section's pretty ugly in the winter.
Just about everything on the west side of the county and the trees is ugly in the winter, I guess.
Yeah. Seems like there's a lot of people in the ditch there in the winter.
Leisure Avenue is a pretty tough road. So if you don't have any other questions, I'm just trying to get that code in front of you so you knew what your responsibilities were and what you can change, I guess.
The problem, I shouldn't say problem, if we were to adopt the 50% rule that the state, if we just say we went with the state language, which is basically what you're asking us to do, right?
Right.
So if we do that, it opens up this door, and I guess what I wanna make sure is that if we go down this path and we say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing paid, we put this special assessment on these folks, so we're not putting anybody out to the point where they can't stay on their property, or, you know, what are the second, third order effects of doing this? You know, that's kind of the evaluation that we should have on the board anyway.
Yeah, and that was kind of the point of we used to have the policy that I wouldn't bring them to you unless they're 100%. Well, none of them were ever getting to 100% since probably 2016. So it's been 5 years since any of them have reached that benchmark. So my understanding of the board is you kind of want to roll that back so we could, you know, encourage people to do this sort of development, but the downside is then you're running into people that are against doing this, so we kind of open that door up as well.
Do you develop your recommendation on what you think we should do as a board, or are you still evaluating it?
Not today, I guess, no.
So did you, give a breakdown for the Honeysuckle Road too? I mean, if you did.
Yeah, if you, it's probably in there.
It wasn't in our packet.
Oh, was it? The cost data or the?
Yeah, the cost, or, it didn't look like, it had, the language, I don't know who put.
I didn't actually receive the Honeysuckle petition. Like, that went to Andrew.
Okay.
It didn't come to me.
We didn't have the, you know, the letter like that looks like accompanied
Right.
the other petition.
So it just didn't leisure. Somebody had it out there, but, so that's available, but the petition didn't come to me, so I scanned the costs and the other ones, so you'd have that information together, but it's not, like I said, those costs are supposed to come after the petition, so it's just kind of courtesy of us trying to put the costs out there, so people know what they're dealing with, so. It didn't need to be part of the petition, I just included it in the other ones.
You said this one's closer to 50? 50 what? %? Oh, sign.
This one, this Honeysuckle one?
Right. Is that what you said, John? This one's like
Yeah, it's
closer
right
to
at
50%.
50%. This really needs scanned in color to make any sense.
There's that many parcels on the Honeysuckle one, I guess.
So Justin, the way I see it, if there were 7 parcels, let's just say the cost of those parcels is $70,000, that's $10,000 a piece. If you have one that doesn't want in, you then take that cost of $70,000, you divide it by 6. That's what everybody else would.
Over a 10-year period.
Right. Is that what you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess my question would be back to the property owners, or are they gonna have big heartburn about that? You know, you basically got one neighbor. It's
We're gonna invite them to come tell you about it.
But that particular property has no home on it. It's just
Um,
land.
This is on Honeysuckle, but on the other one, there just wasn't a home on that property, so.
I mean, I can see why that person would say no.
Yeah, I kinda thought Frank would be against it as well, Moran, cause he's just got a farm field along that road and he signed, but.
It doesn't benefit him as much as it benefits people who live there,
No.
you know.
Yeah, and if somebody's perfectly fine with driving on gravel, do you force them? Pay their fair share if they don't want in? I mean, that'll be a topic of discussion in a public hearing, but.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I also have questions on why is the county not paying this thing too, anyway?
Well, it's
I mean, you
traffic.
just showed us what it costs per year to maintain. Why aren't we paving it anyway?
Well,
That's another question.
it's a traffic count issue. I mean,
But it's only one of the only other connections that gets you over to the east side. That's the other kind of, you know, when G30 idea failed, this was probably, you got basically one of 3 roads to get you to the east. So. why
Does
aren't we looking at paving
valuations
this
go
anyway?
up on properties once this is put on?
It's kind of an assessor question. I mean, I don't think that goes in your formula that you have a paved road in front of your house, but at the same time, if your house values go up, I would assume countywide, your assessment's gonna go up. So I think that comes out in the formula. I mean, we're having an assessment just for the value of the roads that goes against the property, but as far as valuations, question for somebody else maybe.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion?
you know, I'd like to discuss this a little more with you too, you know, and that, you know, one of the things on traffic count makes a big difference, you know, if you say, gosh, it only costs this much to pave it. We have a whole bunch of gravel roads out there that have traffic count, low traffic count
I
that
realize that.
we can pave them too. we don't have the money to do that.
My counter to this whole thing is that people aren't using that road because it's not paved. And the traffic count would probably go up substantially if it were. And then maybe that'd make it more desirable to be developed and things like that. I mean, I just want to understand the entire big picture before we make.
I encourage you guys to drive Leisure Avenue if you haven't. It's a really tough road.
It's a what?
It's a tough road. It's a goat path that we got gravel on.
Right.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to get this in front of you so you.
We are going to ask you for your opinion on this too, so I hope you can evaluate that as well and give us your recommendation before we.
Absolutely.
So next week we'll set the date for public hearing.
If you approve it, then yes, there'll be two items. One to be approved, and if it doesn't get approved, you don't set the date, then the second one would be to set the public hearing.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good. Good stuff. We got Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Zoning. Discussion and decision to appoint Dr. Is it Tana Perry?
Tana Perry, yes.
Tana Perry to the Board of Health to serve out the remainder of vacated term.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you want to.
But you don't have to.
Can I ask you who Andrew is?
Andrew is our board secretary, or Barrett Board Administrative Assistant.
Okay. Okay.
He's in that office right now.
Well, I just was wondering who that was.
Yeah.
It probably just didn't make it into our package before he submitted it, that's probably what happened. So, like, he uploads those things. Doesn't get it, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Clearing out the boardroom.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Did you want to say anything about this at all?
Let you know that Dr. Perry did wish to be here today, but obviously worth the work. Something came up, she could not make it, but I do think she's going to be a great addition to the Board of Health. Graduated of the University of Iowa, like I said, and active here at Jenny Edmondson Hospital as an OBGYN practitioner. And with the emphasis that we're seeing currently in a lot of available grant dollars with the emphasis towards women's health issues, I think it's going to be a big benefit for the Board of Health.
I'm just asking because I don't know. Do the Board of Health members have to reside in Pock County, or can they just work in Pock County?
We did verify with the Iowa Department of Public Health, and they do not have to live here, but they do need to have practice here, which she does.
We talked about that last week.
So that's why I wanted to really make sure I went back to Iowa Department of Public Health, because the code section on the Board of Health does not specify it out in there. But Iowa Department has reassured us that we would be okay as long as they're practicing medicine here.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Approval and authorize board to sign architect agreement with Holly Pointer for new public health facility.
Talked about this. Motion made.
Who motion? Did you motion? Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah.
We're excited to get started on the process. I do hope that as a board, you kind of assign 2 people to work with us directly on this project as it moves along. I think the qualifications Alley Pointer, the projects that they've done here in Council Bluffs speak volumes. Their staff is very excited to work with us on this. We did meet with them again last week just to answer a few more questions, and there's some work that we have to do on our side without them as well too, and that's kind of doing some internal kickoffs, which start after this meeting actually with my staff about our programming and what space and everything goes along with that, and also at the same time looking to the future, making sure that in 2 to 5 years, it's not completely jam-packed full, and so.
I'd like to be in on that.
I think you ought to be looking 20 years out. Because 20 years ago, the Board of Supervisors didn't plan 20 years out.
I met on a Zoom call with Alley Pointer and Matt, and there's a couple of things in this contract I think that we need to be aware of, and one is the cost. The initial cost, they estimated, was based on a 20,000 square foot building. With construction costs 4.8 to 6 million. One of the first steps in their list of things to do was meet with Matt and his staff and determine an actual size and square footage of the building that is going to be adequate currently for his staff and the services they provide, and take a look at maybe some future needs down the road and try to put together a square footage that matches that. So while the contract may have an actual dollar amount in it, could be less than that. Alley Pointers, in our discussion, was fully aware of that they give us a number based on the square footage they estimated, and if the square footage goes down, the price goes down. So I'm okay with that. It's a really good meeting with Alley Pointer, and kind of looking forward to getting this thing started and getting Matt and his department to provide the information they need to determine an actual square footage for the building.
We talked about phases or steps where we get work product.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Are they gonna give us a kind of a rough schedule on what that timeline would look like?
There is actually a rough portion of that in this contract here that we have before us today. And
It's also included in the contract that we have with Freedom.
yes. But yes, they'll go through.
That's still good then.
Yes, they go through the programming, and then the first work product we will get back from them is that spreadsheet showing us the square footages that would be today, and then what they would assess for moving forward. And then after that portion of it is completed, which they said takes about 4 weeks, then they will be supplying us with the different designs. Maximum square footage, least amount of cost interior fixtures, a little bit higher grade fixtures, minimum, medium square footage, high grade fixtures, lowest square footage. That would be, and then that would come back to the committee. Committee would, make their recommendation on it to the Board of Supervisors. Board of Supervisors would then say, yes, that's the one that I want to go with.
I'll serve on that if you want.
So yeah, it's section 1.14. The owner's anticipated design and construction milestone dates. Design phase and milestone dates, programming, that's basically your space needs study, completed by October 22nd. Schematic design, December 10th. Design development, October 28th, or January 28th. Construction documents, April 15th. That's page 3.
Third section number on that.
1.1.4.
These, red line stuff was the county attorney's changes in this, or?
Matt was okay with the contract as it was.
What's the red stuff that was in there?
That was,
So you don't have a cleaned up version. I have the clean version here.
those were just, information items that Ally Pointer put in.
And
For us to review and revise if we needed to.
Okay, any other discussion?
Are they on the phone?
They are not, no.
So we're hoping that, at the end of this process, we'll have a pretty solid number on what it would potentially take to, do a turnkey for a public health building.
Correct.
And then we, at that point, we need to make a decision whether to continue on or
Make changes.
yeah, or see what how the bids came in or whatever, and you know, what that landscape will look like, you know.
We'll get, this isn't gonna be our customary, bid process type thing. Usually a design is done and it's put out for bid and contractors bid on this
Right.
design. There's gonna be 2 or 3 different designs, and those designs, my understanding is gonna be, put out to contractors, and they're gonna give us a price on a cost plus scenario.
So, on the 3 different bids, or on the 3 different designs?
Well, however many designs they come up with.
Okay.
Is that accurate, man?
No, out of the 3 different designs, when it comes back to the committee, we look at the 3 different designs and they will morph it more or less into one design. We will then, they will then give us a list of general contractors. We will get to pick our general contractor, and then each portion of this building will then get bid out. They don't hard bid the whole building out like we have in the past. And they said, Ally Pointer had pointed out, he goes, the market has shifted away from doing that because of the material shortages and things. And if you have a GC right there working with you through this time period, then before it goes out for bid, you're gonna know, can you have steel roof decking, or do you have to go with another style of roof decking? And they make those changes before it goes to the list of subs. So we will have multiple bid openings throughout this process instead of just the one bid opening for $6 million. It will be a bid opening for the foundation, a bid opening for the brickwork, drywall, all of those different pieces as we go.
So will we have
New to me.
Yeah,
It's new to me, but.
right. So I think it's new to probably most of us, but I know that's some of the stuff that's happening out there in the construction environment. But, I mean, we'll have a number that not to exceed though, correct?
So we will have that. This is what it should cost to build this building. We then set the budget, and if the budget, say they come back out of the programming phase of this and the initial design and they're like this is a $15 million building. And we go, well, yeah, but we got $3 million. Then they go back and they cut things down to get us to a $3 million building.
Well, if it's not gonna service our needs, then we're probably gonna have to sit and figure out how we can get what we need out of our needs and where we come up.
But
with
we will have a hard budget established
Right,
at the end of the design phase. To say this is the budget.
That was an extreme example, don't let that
Right.
15 million scare you, because that
No.
was,
No,
oh, I know.
that was way off the chart.
Yeah, who knows what the construction environment's gonna look like as we go forward. We're feeling it already, but it's.
the price of materials is coming way back down, which is a great sign, but our area, we are lacking contractors. I mean, we need workers, we need contractors.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's unique just to us, so. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, approve and authorize chairman to sign access agreement for City of Council Bluffs Brownfields assessment.
Man, could you kind of give us a description of what this is and why we even need it? It's referring to the services building, that's correct, right?
Correct, it is referring to that part, and I have the completed, filled in agreement with parcel numbers and addresses available as well.
What will this do for us? I mean, we've already determined that there was asbestos in that building and had it removed.
And we can go back and ask for help with the cost of removing that. We can ask the city program for that. What this does for us is this can alleviate potential delays and or change orders during construction if they come upon something that we didn't know was there.
Are you talking below the building?
Yes.
We're
So-
not uncapping that parking lot, right? It's not.
Not in the construction or destruction phase, no. They have found more asbestos, they believe.
I don't know. I don't feel right about putting that on the city.
Let's put this on.
Well, and you're not putting it on the city. The city actually receives federal funds
They've
for
received
this.
a bunch of federal money, they're using, they got a pretty good chunk, I think.
They did, and it's.
They're
Is this
using-
use-lose type money for them, or?
Right, and so it's a good sign that the city sent us this over to us.
Okay.
You know, Brenda Carrico was working for Field Day Development at the time. She emailed the city and had conversations with them. They said, yes, we'd encourage you to fill one of these out for us.
They're
And,
using it on the old Reliance building down in the battery building on
mhm.
south, like south side.
Does anybody know the history of this over here?
So yes, I did. Field Day Development for us pulled the Sanborn maps. And, this would be as of 1885, when the courthouse sat out in front of here. Directly across from there, right basically in the footprint of the armory, was a skating rink. Then there was moving our way south would be, threshers, house pavers, and portable, engravers. Then there was a flour and feed store, storage and bake shop, and then at the corner, which would be that Marguerite's parking area, was a cracker company. Now, there was a building that sat just to the west in that parking area, which would be where you turn into that parking area now. There was a building that sat there that they do not have labeled.
But none of those are gonna impact the footprint where this building's gonna go. That's gonna affect your parking lot, not your.
We really don't know.
It's a-
number of square footage on the building.
It's not gonna be more than 20,000 square feet. Yeah, okay.
Whether it's a one or two.
I have like one concern, you guys all know what mine was, with what used to be there with the armory, and I still don't think it's gonna impact it. If the city is okay with this, I'm fine with it. I just don't
Yeah.
wanna put additional things on them.
No,
This is
it's
our
not.
problem, so, but
It's,
yeah, it just
it's
makes sense.
funds they want to,
Yep. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
who actually, do we end up contracting with the people to do this, or who
No,
actually,
the city,
they'll contract with somebody to do it?
right.
And then we.
This is giving them access to conduct that site, visit.
They'll do that after the demo?
Correct. I imagine this Redmond will reach out to us and schedule.
Okay, and do get, it's a public report, I assume.
I would assume so.
Okay.
Where's Jim? Have we heard anything more from him on that?
No, I'm guessing the fall of
The building?
2025.
He was in there and found more asbestos. So they gotta bring back in the asbestos.
Oh, it hasn't been determined that it's asbestos yet, has it?
He suspected asbestos, it looked like it.
It's being tested, I guess, right now, is that
Okay.
my understanding, unless you heard something this morning that I didn't hear.
No, you're right, that's where it's at.
This is the architect agreement.
Okay. This is, the original one.
It's up to the final one.
We didn't get it all.
There's only one?
Yes.
We got one for us then?
That's gonna be ours.
Yeah.
I will scan it in and email it over to them.
Okay.
Pretty typical for some of those companies.
Matt, you mentioned, that, Brenda Carrico worked with you, and at the time she worked with Field Day, she doesn't work with Field Day anymore?
Correct. She moved,
Anyway,
she's not there anymore. I can't remember when she accepted a position somewhere.
okay. Does that change anything with us?
She's working with
No.
some, engineering firm somewhere because,
Yeah, she told me where she was going. I just can't.
she's working with Heartland Family Service.
And that might have been where she went, was Heartland Family Service.
Is it? Okay,
Well, if they're able to take a look at the, costs that we've already spent on the asbestos removal, Jason has those numbers for you.
I'll work with them on that.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Okay, next up, we have, Becky Linehan, Finance and Tax Officer, discussion or decision to approve and
Thanks, Matt.
authorize board to sign
See ya.
resolution number 103-2021, a resolution to approve Pock County's amendment to the current county budget for fiscal year 2021-22.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I saw your email.
Becky, just a couple of questions on this. When we look at, allowing the budget of a department to exceed 100% of the cost, when we look at the auditor, the only reason we're amending that at all is to repay.
Repay the grant.
Repay a grant that, I don't know why it wasn't spent, but it wasn't.
There were only certain things that were allowed to be spent on. There is a list that would have been in that email of things that can be spent. Christie spent all she thought she could spend on it, and then we had to return the remainder of it.
They gave us that amount of money just based on our number of registered voters, and that was just spent on protective equipment, poll workers, training, but there was only a list of about 15 items that you could use that money on, and we spent every bit we could.
Yeah, there's a list of things
Okay.
in
What's
that
up?
email.
Go ahead.
On the secondary roads, the only reason that is being amended for him to be able to spend down some of the bond proceeds that he receives, is that correct?
Yes, that's for the construction of his building.
Okay, same with the Board of Supervisors and the non-departmental is where the bond funds currently sit.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you get a second for that too, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, was that grant a federal or a state one?
Neither. It was from the Center for Technology and Civic Life. And that was the one that was during the pandemic that there was a benefactor that gave them like $25 million to help encourage voters during the pandemic.
So you really didn't have to really much apply for it, and they just sent you a certain amount?
It was a pretty simple application. It was, you applied and said, how many registered voters do you have? And they sent us $148,000.
Okay.
So it was.
I'm sorry, Becky, one more question. Is that $62,000 in a special fund by itself, or is it in our balance of the general fund?
It is in the general sub fund.
So it's in the cash balance of the general supplemental fund? Okay.
So we used about 120,000 of it.
No, we used to 80-some thousand.
We used $86,089.
Okay. Well, that was awful nice of them to send us that funds,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Every county all over the country got money.
I would really love to be able to help you to spend the rest of that.
I know, well, that was one that, Zach Muckerberg, Zucker, whatever his name is. He gave-
Zuckerberg,
Huh?
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg gave a bunch of money just to help get people to vote during the pandemic. And, take care of your poll workers and, oh, I don't remember what all we spent it on. There's a list there we sent you.
Okay, roll call?
Chairman Belt. Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Groby.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
And Shay.
Okay, next we have Resolution 104-2021 entitled Resolution Appointing Pay Agent, Bond Registrar, and Transfer Agent, approving the paying agent and bond registrar and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of the agreement.
Second.
And this is for the last bonding we did for John, correct?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chairman Belt.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Groby. Schultz.
Aye.
Shay.
Okay, Resolution 105-2021 entitled Resolution Authorizing and Providing for the Issuance and Levying a Tax to Pay the Bonds, Approval of the Tax Exemption Certificate and Continuing Disclosure Certificate.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This is for the same one roads. Any discussion?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mitch. There's some wording in here that I just want to clarify. The language that says levying a tax to pay said bonds. We are paying for this project out of local option sales tax. I do remember the meeting we had with Maggie, what's the name of their company?
Spirit
Spirit Financial. The levying of a tax, the only reason the wording is in there is in case that the local option sales tax is unable to pay the debt off. In this situation, John receives a little over $2 to $2.4 million a year in local option sales tax. So I don't think this is ever gonna be an issue, but we are not levying a tax right now
No.
to pay for the
Right.
bond. There's no tax levy on it at all whatsoever, and I don't anticipate one either with the reports that I've seen of our local option sales tax revenues coming in to secondary roads. Is that correct, Mitch?
Yep, I would 100% agree with that statement.
Okay, so just wanted to point that out. Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, it's a big resolution. I think I'm gonna have to read that maybe.
Ate up a lot of trees.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna read that, right?
Roll call.
We'll be here till 6 o'clock.
Roll call.
Well, let's find the,
Keep going.
all right, I got her. Chairman Bell.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman. Aye. Groby.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
And Shay.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 106-2021 entitled Resolution for the Transfers to West Soil Water Conservation District, Pock County Structures Fund, and East Soil Water Conservation District, Pock County Structure Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. This has always, since I've been here, and I don't know what year it started. Did it started when gaming started, or was it not?
No, gaming started before I got here. It started
Did it used to pay
4
it out
or
of,
5 before you got here and
did
after
it
I
used to
got
pay
here.
it out of rural?
No. I think we always paid it out of gaming. And it was just
Well,
one,
so it must have started when gaming came, because we haven't always had gaming money.
no, but we've always had it since 2000 or 2001 when I got here,
Right.
but I don't know what year they came in and just needed the money just for maintenance. It
Well,
probably
yeah,
started
there's-
about the time we discovered this maintenance issue on these structures.
PL 566s.
Yeah,
The
so that's probably
the-
6 or
when
7 or
the
8.
Feds decided they weren't gonna be our partners anymore.
Well, yeah, they decided that after the structure was built.
Well, no, there was agreements went for a little while before they finally pulled the plug on us.
But the counties are supposed to be, if you remember it right, the counties are supposed to be levying a certain amount of money against the rural for maintenance.
For the PL 566s.
Yeah, you went to that meeting when the guy from,
Well, I said that you had the ability to do
Yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
wasn't specific to the structures, that 6.3, that's still out there in code,
yeah,
but it's just on
just on the rural, but the
just
structure,
on farm ground only.
ag ground, that's right.
Which is
Well,
crazy.
yeah, those structures protect the cities too.
Right.
Right, but I mean, they didn't allow the, you know, that to do that, so.
Well,
Okay.
that's why it didn't happen, because all the structures were in West Pot, and the folks in East Pot says, why would we get assessed? This would have
That's
been
why
back
the
in
amounts
sixties.
are 15 and 10.
Yeah, why are we gonna get assessed out there in Grove Township when these structures are protecting the city of Council Bluffs?
I think
So they never made that assessment.
Becky's report today, they got, what do they got in their funds?
Hundreds of thousands. I can't remember exactly what, East has more than West.
Yeah.
They always have.
I'm not sure that's where that 10,000 goes. Or,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
thought
goes in
that's
that
what-
fund, 46 and 47.
it was in the fund, because they got, East has 103 and or East, yeah, has 103 and,
oh, that's the structures fund. I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of the
and West only has like 8,000.
local option sales tax fund
Right.
is more, is higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, John Thomas came in with that, proposal.
Okay.
Bernie.
All right, Chairman Bill, I'll make a motion
Well,
to,
I gotta do roll call.
oh,
We got the motion. Schultz and Shay.
Yep. No, Schultz and Wickman.
Chairman Bell.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Groby.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
And Shay.
Now I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
He's gonna be around about 3:30. Suzanne can come up.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, we need to sign, yep, we can get you these here.
Thanks, Becky.
15.